Welcome to 3 Point Landing. We talk about movies, games, and TV shows. I'm Misha.
I'm Matthew.
And today we're joined by Karen, who's here to tell us all about her CV.
Hello, and that will cover the whole episode. Yay! I'm the internet's Karen, except I use my Karen powers for good. I'm a copywriter, a former K-Zone editor, and a full-time fangirl. So thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving us the time of day. Thank you for speaking to us.
Now, I'm looking forward to this episode, Karen, because we're going to be talking about one of the big pressers, conferences, directs from the last week. The DC Fandome, that all-in-one event where I guess Warner Brothers and DC combined, like talk about all their big projects, their movies, their games, and all the stuff they've got lined up for the future in entertainment.
Yeah, it's basically one big flex from them.
Absolutely. I was impressed, actually, because when I first heard about it, I was not expecting much because SDCC online was really sad. It was really sad. It was badly organized. Half the panels were buggy and it just was not any fun. So nagulat ako dito na, hey, this isn't bad.
I definitely agree with you on that because I feel like it's now the benchmark for all future fandom conventions online. And I think we're all pivoting. There's the buzzword.
If you say new normal, I'm walking out.
During a global pandemic, it's interesting how we,
in these trying times,
kind of, the way they were able to execute it. I wouldn't say perfectly because I don't believe there's a perfect event. Something will always happen. I've worked in events before, so I know how chaotic the back end can be, but it was so amazing. I love how they set up this whole storyline with the digital backgrounds for all the different worlds that were illustrated by Jim Lee. So that was pretty awesome. And I liked how they transitioned from one segment to the other. Also, I did not shower at all because I loved how they looped everything in. Like 3 times. You could watch it 3 times.
This is 3 Point Landing, not too much information, but thank you for sharing that. What was I going to say? No, I was, something that really got to me. Matthew, are you still with us?
I'm still with you. I'm just listening, that's all.
No, something that really got to me was I found out that they'd actually designed it so that no matter where you were in the world, you would get the full 24-hour experience. And they actually broadcast in multiple languages so that everybody would get the full thing. There was Chinese, Spanish, I think it was Japanese or something. I mean, they really thought this through.
Did they have Filipino? Because I would have been jazzed if they had that in Filipino.
But no, there wasn't. I'm sorry.
We had a Filipino host though. We had Gino.
That's fair.
He represented our country, but
that
he spoke
fair.
in English. Yeah. So yay, Gino.
Representation. So, what were your major takeaways? What did you enjoy seeing, Karen?
I enjoyed seeing how everyone was dealing from their homes. I felt like every guest there was so eager for human interaction and socialization. And interestingly enough, I feel like there's even a more direct connection now with the fans because the fans were sending in their questions and then the guests were talking to them directly. Also, I like that aside from all the big ones, of course, you got the mainstream movies coming up. They had all these little segments that I was actually more interested in, like the creator side of the multiverse theory. They had about women in the fandom. So those were like the kind of mini segments that were happening in between. And I'm hoping for more of that.
You mentioned that you like that we could have that kind of an interaction with the stars and vice versa. Because something that I remember reading before this, they were saying that the whole rationale behind Fandome wasn't just to accommodate for the pandemic, but also for the fact that in Comic-Con, 9 times out of 10, you're going to line up for 8, 10, 11 hours to see Jason Momoa from 50 feet away. So here, you're up close and personal with them. You can ask them questions. And it really changed the energy of it, I think.
The other thing that Karen talked about that I think I found the most fun out of, because, okay, I'm going to be honest with you guys, like, I'm not a big DC head, but because we were able to see the stars, like, from, in this sort of pandemic situation, we got a window into, like, their private world, however filtered it may be. I mean, many of them put on their makeup, they didn't just show up completely disheveled, but there's this sort of, like, you get this glimpse of their personal world,
right.
From broadcasting from home. And I thought that was fun. I wouldn't say it necessarily humanized them, but it provided this sort of like, thanks to the magic of high definition video streaming, we got this sort of like tactile experience of connecting with our favorite DC and Warner Brothers celebrities that, like you said, could not be possible when you're using Jason Momoa from 50 feet away.
My takeaway is that they all had iPhones. Just they had the little AirPods on. Karen, you mentioned the smaller panels. Which one stood out for you?
For me, as I mentioned, I really like the Multiverse 101 because personally, I need to brush up on that because I know a lot of worlds are colliding right now. I mean, you already had a glimpse of that with the Flash crossover at the end.
Right.
And then I think that's going to happen again in the movie. I also like the...
Sorry, are we talking about the television crossover? Like that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was good. When, what's his name? Ezra Miller from the Justice League movie showed up on the TV show.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm a big fan of the CW Berlantiverse or whatever, like the DC TV shows. I kind of dropped most of them for the sake of practicality. So I'm only really following Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow. And then when I get around to it, maybe Flash. But yeah, that stuff's fun. But, if they thread that into the movies somehow, which seems a little bit of a pipe dream, that could be incredibly exciting.
I agree. Can I just also add, I think as a con goer, what I love about the online aspect of it is because I'm a completionist, I'm able to watch everything. Because when you're there offline at the actual convention, it feels like I have to, have to divide myself into several beings just to attend everything. You guys know this if you've covered events as media. It's I have to go here. I have to go there.
So many panels are running parallel to each other or overlapping with each other.
Yes. Yeah. And you have to budget your time.
Yeah. And then you have not just that. You have
or
to
invest in clones.
You have to run from one side of the convention center to the other just to be on time for the other panel.
Absolutely.
Invest in cloning.
Yeah, cloning would be great. Be like multiple man.
Yes, and then you can all argue about which panel was best. I like the idea that they split it into 2 days, actually, because they said they just had so much material that they couldn't fit it all into one. But yet they were still able to throw in a surprise panel last week where they announced the return of Milestone Comics and gave us updates on Static Shock and all these things that we never thought that we would see again. So it just showed that this wasn't all just about games. It wasn't all about movies. Like they really cared about making a good experience for the fans, I suppose.
Yeah, speaking of that panel, I really like their whole conversation about what it was like in the 90s. Like they had that kind of throwback and they were saying, after SDCC, you guys would throw like a party in a bar and then the rest of us would just be like dirty and just look for a party in the hotel room. Like it is so relatable. I like that, seeing that side in our favorite creators. So it was a fun dialogue.
I think
that stuff is fun. That stuff is juicy, grungy stuff. The idea that people, are now willing to share like all the crazy in between stuff of the events of past. But you were saying, Misha.
No, I was thinking that it ties back to what Matthew said, diba? Parang because they're all generally at home, they're more relaxed, they're more comfortable. They're not jet lagged. They didn't have to walk through 3,000 people to get to their convention hall. They didn't have to, they could just like be in their house and they're just totally chill. So they were just naturally comfortable, I think.
I think that's also why there was so much content and there were so many guests because it was a lot more feasible to just show up in front of your camera.
Yeah, just
fly all the way there.
Yeah.
Also, I think, just the mere fact that we're talking to you now, Karen, that I think this is part of that online experience where it's so nice to be talking to a new person after so long. Alam mo yun? I mean, quarantine is not fun.
I mean,
I don't know how Matt will take that though.
I take no offense, but I've known Karen for 8 years, and like we have talked back and forth, whether at conventions or online or whatever, or Geek Fight even. We've talked,
True.
several times about possibly doing a thing or a collaboration or writing for each other or whatever. And it never really comes to fruition. But at last, the pandemic has happened, so now we can do a podcast episode.
At last, I have you in my clutches.
We have each other in each other's clutches. It's like the visual I have in my head is like that scene in the old 2009 Star Trek where Sulu and Kirk are just falling down and they are like holding on to each other, just spinning in the air. That's what it is.
It's basically this pandemic.
The pandemic may kill us, but at least we're spending time together.
At least we have good company.
Yeah, that's right.
As the world burns.
Because who wouldn't want to be clutching Chris Pine on the way to a fiery death?
Or John Cho.
Or John Cho.
Why not both?
Our producer is giving us some great faces right now. I wish our audience could see it. But anyway,
if she uses her full names, it's all over.
Yeah, but would you guys love that idea? Just circling it back to them talking about the grungy side of
definitely
geekery and comics. I mean, because now it's so glitzy and glamorous because it's in Hollywood already. But there was so much you had to go through before it became this widely accepted. How do you guys feel about that?
It's still on my list of life goals to attend SDCC in person. Someday I'm going to have the time. Someday I'm going to have the money. But until then, this was a great show. This gave me that whole Comic-Con experience without having to deal with a convention hall full of sweaty people who are way too close to each other and having to line up for hours and hours and hours and paying overpriced hotel prices or overpriced food or, just being generally uncomfortable but telling yourself you're having fun. But I miss it. I honestly miss it.
I know. I miss it too. I miss the local conventions.
Yeah.
Same.
It's a collective struggle, especially when you're covering an event and then afterwards you're all just chilling after like, did you go to this panel? Did you have to line up? Like, di ako nakakain, ganun, diba? Like, I haven't eaten all day, but it was so awesome. That's basically convention life.
Absolutely. But like, that's also convention life. Like, even if you're not covering it, because you really want to take it all in, especially if you spent money to get there. Like, I remember I was in Tokyo Comic Con in 2017, and the guest of honor was Stan Lee. But there were other people there, like Nathan Fillion was there, but I had to make a choice. I'm like, I can go to Stan Lee, I can go to Nathan Fillion. But I figured, not for anything, I figured Nathan Fillion is going to live longer. I'm going to go see Stan Lee.
That's true. Good, honestly, that just makes me laugh. This makes me laugh.
I had to make a choice.
This makes me laugh because you ever play those you ever play any of those story-based, choice-based games like Until Dawn or Telltale's The Walking Dead? I kind of imagine like the whole world just fucking slowing down on Misha and like
where do I go? What do I do?
Yeah, the camera hovers like press X to see Stan Lee. Press B to see Nathan Fillion.
Nathan Fillion will remember that.
And what's his name? There was also Michael Rooker, but he's at every con, so I could live with that.
That's true. This is fast becoming a discussion of why we miss conventions, which, by the way, is something we should talk about one day.
Oh, wait. Did you see? I also liked in the lead up to this was all the little cosplay videos that they did with cosplayers from all around the world. That was fun, just seeing people getting up, dressed up in their convention-ready outfits. Unfortunately, they were all stuck at home. But they were joined in these compilation videos, like with the actors who played those same characters in the DC movies. So that was a bit of a treat.
Yeah, building on that, Misha, my favorite part there was when they dressed up all the little doggies as DC characters.
Yes, that was so cool. You saw the one that was jumping?
Yes.
It was so cute.
I think that's it. There's so much user-generated content, so you are looking forward to seeing
yes.
You have to watch the whole thing and wait for yourself to show up. Like there's also that extra draw.
But that's where the engagement comes from, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Moon Landing!
Let's talk a little bit about some of the things that were discussed at the con, at DC Fandome. Like Matthew, you're a video game guy. What did you take away? What engaged you?
Well, obviously, my big takeaway was the 2 video games that was announced. Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League, a big deal video game by the same studio that made the very popular, very critically praised Batman Arkham games, Arkham Asylum, City of Night, and another interesting game called Gotham Knights by WB Montreal. Now, I know a lot of people weren't really happy with those announcements. Like, people wanted Rocksteady to do a Superman game so badly.
I thought they were going to do a Superman game.
Yeah, because they put so many Superman Easter eggs in Arkham Knight. But I think this is an exciting idea. They're going to be making the game into sort of like a co-op game where, you play the Suicide Squad, having their sights on the good guys. And, it's sort of be like a team-based shooter kind of thing. We didn't see any real gameplay, just a very entertaining cinematic featuring Karen's favorite, Harley Quinn, and my personal favorite,
Yay.
King Shark.
King Shark is having so much visibility right now.
I know, right? He's the best.
King Shark is awesome. I think that it's kind of ironic that the things that people would usually take away from the bigger cons, especially the people who don't get to attend, they look forward to these big reveals, the trailers, the movie stars showing up, or the sneak peek footage of new projects. But in this case, those things, as big as they were kind of secondary to the whole experience.
Yeah, I'm getting that sense from you guys, the way you talked about the whole event, that it's not about, I've got, for the listeners, I've got this list of this reference list of what happened at Fandome, what announcements they made, but here we are talking about the actual experience of it, the thing that cannot be reduced to just a bunch of high profile announcements. And I think that's really, interesting and speaks to what the real value of a fan event is for, people.
No kidding. I mean, I saw an article that said that this event reached 22 million people, more or less. And that just beat the living crap out of SDCC this year. SDCC couldn't even get as much internet traffic this year then it couldn't even match the amount of traffic they got during last year's live event, which tells you how poorly it was attended.
Honestly, I didn't freaking notice that the SDCC happened. I mean, exactly. Yes, I know, I'm Mr. Video Games guy, so I'm not exactly the ideal person for that. But even then, but
you usually take notice. I mean, know when SDCC is on.
Yeah, I know when SDCC happens, and I'll hear some big movie or video game or comic or whatever, or cartoon that is peripherally related to something I like will come by, and I'll say, all right, SDCC happened, but nope, no such thing happened. It just...
Yeah, I missed the whole thing. I didn't even remember there was one until Misha brought it up.
Diba? It was kind of sad. They were not anywhere near as organized as the DC guys, which is a good thing, I guess, because in the weeks leading up to DC Fandome, we had nothing but bad news coming out of DC, honestly.
Oh, oof.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people lost their jobs. They closed off entire divisions. So, nobody knew if this event was going to be a celebration or a funeral.
I kind of know a bit what you're talking about. Could you clarify that for me and for the rest of the audience, Misha, about what's going on with DC, with DC and the layoffs and stuff like that?
all
I know is AT&T and WB have debts to settle, and so they decide to streamline the whole operation, the whole company, including DC Comics. That's all I know.
Well, that's pretty much it. I mean, by and large, the comic book market isn't anywhere near as healthy as it used to be. As far as comic books go, comic book characters, awareness is at an all-time high. You got movies, you got TV shows, but comic book sales are at an all-time low. And let's face it, in the middle of a pandemic, that's not entirely most people's priorities to keep up with what's happening in the comics, especially because you can find a lot of them online now anyway. So AT&T, they bought Warner Brothers. They want to see a return on their investment. No new movies are shooting. No new shows are shooting. So they got to cut corners somewhere. They shut down DC's toy division, which made fantastic toys and statues for years and years and years. They fired half the editorial board in DC Publishing. It's really scary, honestly.
Yeah, they have some they discontinued some stuff, right?
Yeah. And nobody knows what's going to happen next, to be perfectly honest. That's why it was so refreshing. I mean, that's why some people said that splitting fandom into two was to push the comics as far away as possible until they knew what to say.
Oh, yikes.
Diba? So parang,
What's your take on that, Karen?
Which one? About which part?
I mean, about both. About splitting the event and about what's happened with the corporate restructuring of.
I know. I just felt this dissonance because I've been hearing all those bad news, but I guess it was more of I enjoyed being with other fans, so it was a feeling of belonging. So I think that's more of my take from DC Fandom. Also, I was excited for Gotham Knights because although it's interesting to see the Bat fam take up the mantle because there's so many Batman games and here he's dead. So now it's like the children.
Or
actually, I'm glad you brought that one up because I'm actually excited about that game. It's weird because when I watch the game, I don't think it looks quote unquote objectively great, but I'm just jazzed about the idea of a video game that represents characters from the DC milieu who aren't really pushed to the front. You know what I mean? Like Nightwing and his glorious ass and, Robin and Batgirl. I'm game for a game where Daddy Bruce isn't in the picture.
I don't know. I mean, do you really think he's going to stay dead? The end of the trailer showed the Night of the Court of Owls, and those guys have a nasty habit of bringing people back to life.
True. But it just means that we get to play at least 20 hours of these characters, without having to feel like they're subservient to the bats, to an
old man with daddy issues.
Like if you played Arkham Knight, which I know you haven't finished, so I'm not going to go into story here. But one of the things that the game does is that they let you do this tag team thing where you get to fight alongside Catwoman or Robin or whoever. And when you press a button, you do a combo with them and switch sides with them. But even then, the game is primarily Batman, and sometimes you get to play the other characters. But full stop, I am excited to just my main is going to be Batgirl. Okay, my main is going to be Batgirl because. I want to play the purple outfit, all that stuff. Yeah, I'm game for Batgirl, the video game, even if it means sharing space with her 3 shitty brothers.
I know either her and I kind of want to try Tim Drake.
Oh, nice.
I want to try Nightwing because I want to see if he can do all his acrobatic stuff, honestly.
Oh, so we're in an agreement. We're all buying this game and we're playing together. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I was going to borrow yours.
See that butt and CG.
that reminds me, I've mentioned this to Matthew before. One of the reasons that they made Lara Croft a woman was they figured that if you're going to spend 30 hours playing a game looking at a character's backside, it may as well be that of a woman, a pretty woman. So now you can do the same thing with Dick Grayson, Matthew.
I'm behind. Oh, now who do I play, Batgirl or Nightwing? Juicy ass or Barbara.
This is equal opportunity objectification.
Of course, absolutely. Yeah. How about any of the movies? Did any of the movies catch your attention, guys?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I know everyone's.
Go for it.
I really liked Shazam out of everything just because it's so DIY. And it's so my energy, how chaotic that whole panel was, and how it appealed to my 90s childhood because they brought out Sinbad.
I know, he's going to be in this movie.
Yes, thus addressing the Mandela effect of him being in Shazam. And now he's actually there.
Yep. And then they can put him on the front. They can dress him up like a genie. That would be awesome.
Are there any good DC characters for Sinbad to take over?
Please don't bring in Shaq. I can't deal with that again.
Shaq or Steel against real?
No, Kazam.
Kazam. Oh God, no! Please. It's taken me I think 20 years at this point to get over that one. That's one of those things that does not need a sequel. I already got to put up with LeBron in Space Jam 2.
Shazam versus Kazam. It's gonna be like the new Batman versus Superman.
Well, I guess anything would be better than Batman versus Superman.
Man's got a point.
For me, my favorite. I got two. I like the Wonder Woman one where Venus Williams and Linda Carter showed up because she's Wonder Woman. How can you not? She's actually showed up in a few superhero productions lately. I think she was the president.
Supergirl.
Right, she was the president on Supergirl. Was she an alien? I can't remember.
Yeah, it turns out she was an alien the whole time.
I guess she'd have to be quite so perfect.
But she was a good alien.
More importantly, guys, she's the principal in Sky High.
Yes, she is. I love that.
Are we just going to have
Sky High is so underrated.
We should have cheesy movie club now at this point, Karen.
Yes, I am like an endless source of it.
Sky High is awesome.
No, but can I say, I think because you guys brought up Linda Carter, I'm very excited because next year, right, they're gonna celebrate the 80th year of Wonder Woman.
Yes.
So that's super hype.
And hopefully we can finally see Wonder Woman 84 on the big screen.
Did you guys like Cheetah's reveal?
Hey, at least she didn't look like a refugee from Cats.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody who was working on Wonder Woman and Cheetah's visuals, I'm pretty sure they looked at Cats and they were like, not that.
Yeah, they made a list. They made a list of things not to do after they watched Cats.
In fact, I think even before Cats came out, they were probably like, all right, let's see what happens with Cats and use that as feedback.
Me hoping that Kristen Wiig sings. Come on.
Well, I could get behind that, absolutely. But wait,
she is.
I remember a story where Jackie Chan was shooting Project A in like 1980, 1981 or whatever. And then somebody told him that Spielberg's new movie, E.T., had a bicycle scene. And Jackie Chan was shooting this chase scene with bikes that day. He stopped production. He took everybody to the cinema to watch E.T. And then when the bikes went up into the sky, he told everybody, okay, back to work. Okay, we're good. But in this case, I can imagine the entire CGI team of Wonder Woman 84 going to the cinema to watch Cats and thinking, oh my God, are they going to, we're fine.
I'm sure at the very least, they looked at Cats and they were like, okay,
what that part over hell?
They were like, that part over there where you can see a human hand. Yeah, we don't have that. just
or nearly nude Idris Elba, which I suppose in other circumstances would be somewhat appealing, was not here.
He looked like a flasher. It was very
scary.
uncomfortable.
And James Corden as himself. But it was so bad. Nothing good has come out since I saw that movie.
I know, and then the pandemic happened.
Diba? And then the Fire Nation attacked. I mean, what else is going to happen this year?
It was the foreshadowing.
Yeah, and now Black Panther's dead. Sadness. Oh, did you see? Speaking of, DC actually, their official Twitter account posted one of the Black Panther posters of Chadwick Boseman, and they said that his character transcends universes. Rest in power. I thought that was really classy.
Oh.
3-point landing.
So I want to ask you about the Sandman panel because I know the two of you are big Sandman fans. So.
What was up with Neil Gaiman's haircut? Like, seriously, I know it's a pandemic, but come on, he's rich.
I don't. When you had that hair for so long, I don't think there's anything that's going to make you give it up.
Fine. I like the Sandman panel.
Yeah, you liked it?
I like the things that I got out of it, I guess. I mean, but I prefer... there wasn't much energy, not compared to the others, honestly. But I just chalked it up to being
me too. That's what I thought.
But aren't these things we already know? Like, we know there's going to be a series, so they just kind of reiterated that.
We are here
to
announce that announcement has been announced.
No, I like that he promised us what every single creator always promises, that they're going to be faithful to the source material.
I mean, I think case-to-case basis, where we have varying levels of skepticalness or faithfulness in when people say those things. But you are right that every time the ubiquity of people saying they'll be faithful is really trite.
I mean, like, seriously, what else are they going to say? They're not going to say it's going to be garbage.
Like, can you imagine someone going like, we intend to disrespect the material?
We're gonna dress Wolverine in black leather, and it'll be faithful.
No, but
In fact, sorry, Karen.
yeah.
But sorry.
But Nightwing's butt. No, actually, what I was thinking was
Always goes back to Dick. Always goes back to Dick.
No, but seriously, I have the kind of the war flashbacks from the American Gods adaptation, so I'm a bit worried because that got a bit messy.
Yeah.
To be
What do you
fair, they
feel about
started
that?
they started strong, and then I don't know what happened. Well, I know what happened, but sayang yun,
actually, I think
honestly.
that's an interesting observation because, like, that's really the problem with the series, right? Like, I think whenever people talk about video games or comics like being made into movies, I always go like, oh, maybe what can you do with 2 hours? 2 hours is so little time to explore a massive work that means so much to people and has so much stuff going on in it. So I think all of us are in agreement that a television show can be exciting because it explores that material with depth and room. But here's the existential question that hasn't been talked about often enough in criticism, which is, well, a series can be good and faithful, but how long can it keep it up? You know what I mean? Like, it just feels like such immense pressure to be like, you knocked it out of the park today, guys, but what about tomorrow? And the next episode, and the next episode, and the next episode. And I think that's definitely what happened with American Gods, or at least from what I hear, is that, they did it really well, and then they just couldn't sustain it for how many seasons. And the fact that there were creative troubles and in behind the scenes with changing producers or writers or whatever only made that worse.
The dreaded creative differences. Yeah. But it's okay. Have you actually, Karen, have you heard the audio drama of Sandman? The new one?
Not yet.
It's amazing.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out and we'll talk about it.
Sige. But that's what I appreciated about Gaiman talking about. He said that like the audio play pressured them. It pressured them into making the show more faithful because the audio play was so incredibly faithful.
Oh, this is the guy with the cool haircut. He's the one who was directing that radio play, right?
I can't recall, but yes. I think.
This is the guy with the white hair and he looked so cool and eccentric and I'm like, that guy's so creative. So yes, I will check out the radio play. That is my thought process.
It makes sense to me. It makes absolute sense. I also would judge a radio play by the quality of the director's play.
Who's playing is Delirium gonna be there? I have not checked the radio play, so I'm not informed.
Have you seen the cast is ridiculous. You gotta check this thing out, honestly. It's on audio.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, but don't you think that because it's a British thing, aren't they just all magkakakilala and they just kind of grab it's like always the same actor in every
That's
series.
true.
So there's
only 8 working actors in all of England, and they've all been on Doctor Who at some point or other.
Exactly. Harry Potter, and then I guess in this radio play they're just gonna grab some people. But I know there's some American voice actors as well because I know Kat Dennings.
Yes,
she's
there. Right? She's there.
Yeah.
In fact, if I'm gonna be absolutely, I actually think I like the cast on this. Over whatever the live action version is going to be, because this is just insane. You got James McAvoy, you have Kat Dennings, you have Arthur Darvill is in here.
That's the thing.
I mean, like, seriously, there's only 8 actors in
Rory.
England.
But that's the challenge, right? I look at this cast and it looks really cool, and I think what they're going to do with the material is hedging bets. It's going to be fucking incredible. But their ability to play those characters on film is a little bit more suspect. And that's the thing. Audio liberates these actors from the confines of their own fleshy prisons.
Their own fleshy prison.
That got philosophical, bro.
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
What I mean is that an actor doesn't have to look like the character to or be able to embody that character in a physical way to play them really well. You just look at the actors on the list of that radio drama and you think, oh, that guy's hot shit. He's awesome, or she's awesome. She's gonna play that character well. And so when they do the film, they have the challenge now. What you were saying about the film being just as good as the audio drama, or just being able to meet that. They have the challenge of not just finding good actors, but finding actors who can physically embody them. And, the cast of Sandman is very eclectic, all those different characters just like look so weird and wacky and wild and physically varied.
Man, I was just thinking that Michael Sheen was also in Good Omens. That's what went through my mind.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. I was gonna say that that's a good example of a great adaptation. And fair, that the radio drama was also great. So you can have both.
Did you see the quarantine film that they made?
Yes. Oh my goodness. I shipped them so hard. 12-year-old me was looking for fan fiction on fanfiction.net and there was only like 5 and I would just repeat it over and over and now there's so much content.
Each one filthier than the last. No, I'm kidding.
An adventure for another day.
I think it was good that they gave a lot of time to the different, more mainstream properties. But I'm really looking forward to what they do with the comics in the next installment, actually. Because here we had like previews of Flash, of just the Flash TV show, Justice League. They told us Titan Season 3 is coming up to make up for whatever the hell the second season was. There was a lot of mainstream stuff here. There was a lot of big announcements, big reveals. But I'm really looking forward to them talking about the comics next time. Because at the end of the day, that's where everything comes from.
Even if they don't share info, I was very entertained. Like, Shazam didn't have much info, but it was an entertaining interaction. I really liked it. The Ask Harley Quinn, but I might be very biased as a cosplayer and collector of Harley Quinn. But I liked how, she was just insulting the fan base by answering all those questions in a very dismissive way. And that just gave me so much life. No info at all about the next episode.
Right? Like she's not at all shading the fans for real.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's her as a cartoon character, and then she's answering all the questions.
So this is based on the animated series, though. Okay,
yes.
Well, I have to get around to watch,
which is also getting another season. Oh, I like Matt Reeves on the Batman because honestly, that guy is clearly just so freaking happy to be directing a Batman movie. Like, he's not even trying to hide his enthusiasm. He was like he's a 10-year-old who'd come out to play, honestly, the way he was going on. He had, like, the most emotion you ever thought of a British person ever.
I know. He was so enthusiastic. I have to say, though, when I watched the trailer, all I could hear was, like, welcome to the Bat Parade.
That was 50% of my Twitter that day. Just people making My Chemical Romance jokes, and some of them very clever, not necessarily punching down.
I think it's funny that every Batman after Adam West has had the eyeliner, but it only became an issue now. I think because usually when he takes the cowl off in the movies, it magically disappears in the next shot. The eye makeup, they never actually show it on the guy. I mean, you think of how super awkward it would be if they had a scene where Alfred is just watching Batman putting eye makeup on before he puts his mask on every night.
To be fair to him, it's a smoky eye. Excuse you.
Fine. I'm sorry, Battinson.
A lot more elaborate.
Fair enough. Maybe Alfred helps him put it on. I don't know.
My partner and I watch those makeup tutorials, Karen. We know what you're talking about.
Oh, speaking of Andy Serkis is Alfred in this movie. He was also in the Sandman audio play. But yes, he's Alfred. And I think you can hear him talking a bit in the trailer. But honestly, guys, can we please talk about Colin Farrell? What the hell?
I read a great take.
I know. What in the prosthetics?
Yeah, I know. I mean, are they mad at him or something?
I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I read a great take on Twitter where they said that for the money that they spent for Colin Farrell and then put so much prosthetics on him, that they could have gotten another actor, but for much cheaper.
Yeah, Richard Kind. He looks exactly like Richard Kind.
Richard Kind.
Oh my goodness.
The guy from Mad About You, I think.
Yeah, and Spin City with Michael J. Fox.
Spin City.
But still, I mean, it's just, they could have, I don't know what they were doing. Like, as much makeup as Danny DeVito had on.
He was still Danny DeVito.
In 92. You could still recognize him as Danny DeVito.
He's still...
Not to insult Danny DeVito, that he looks like a fish eating penguin.
It's like Danny DeVito head shape is there, and then they stuffed him in like a sausage casing filled with meat, and then threw him down a sewer, and then picked him up, and then like drew black eyeliner in his face.
Wrong with
like
you?
That's what it is. But you know, Danny DeVito's still there. But with Colin Farrell, they slapped so much on him, Colin Farrell gets lost. Like the colonist just disappears.
In a meat casing? What is wrong with you?
That is suspiciously specific, Matt.
You've given this too much
I'm not
thought.
a serial killer.
How do we know that?
I'm not a serial killer, said
And
every
then
serial killer.
The next day, Misha wakes up in a meat casing.
Or I find a horse's head in my bed.
You'll find a size 14 human skin. Sorry, that was a bit.
It puts the lotion on the skin.
Wait, you're talking about me.
Oh my god, it's just making it in the cut anyway. No, but seriously, like, I'm cautiously excited about the Batman. Like, I know a lot of people dunked on it a bit. You know, even people who I'm normally inclined to agree with about, oh, here's another grimdark Batman, whatever. And I'm like, you know what? DC and WB are like big mainstream corporation as corporations. You can't expect them to like have an irreverent or incredibly novel take on the Batman. If it happens, it's a pleasant surprise. But at this point forward in time, you know, from now and forward into time, we have to expect that most versions of Batman are still going to be in that canonically dark, operatic, you know, realm. And trying to hope for, I don't know, Adam West Batman or something is a little bit of a stretch. But I am interested in the sort of whole detective angle that they're trying to pursue. But what I do want to talk about that interests me a lot is the Suicide Squad film. I don't know a lot about it, haven't really followed it, but they did a big like character dump at the convention.
From what I could see, it looks like James Gunn is just doing. He's being James Gunn, and I am all for it. Honestly,
it feels ridiculous. Like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Except there's 13 of them.
But with John
Cena, there's 13 of them.
But with John Cena.
Do you mean like a blank? There's like one blank picture in the reveal. I don't know who that is.
No, well, yeah, you can't see him, but I also see.
Oh, it took me a while to get that one. Oh, fuck.
It's okay. You're old. We get it.
No, but I love the John Cena joke.
Dun, 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 dun.
I liked it. I liked it. I liked seeing that Harley Quinn has some of the agency that we saw in her last movie, Birds of Prey.
Yes,
she's
continuity.
Not just, right? And she's not just eye candy the way she kind of was in the first one.
Yes, goodbye to the booty shorts. Oh. I love her. I cosplay her. As a cosplayer, I'm super excited for Harley's new costume in Suicide Squad 2. It's so badass. It's like all leather. And she's like a freaking rocket launcher. She's ready to.
It looks like the outfit she had in Arkham Knight.
Yeah, and in a good way, because Arkham Knight had a cartoony, weird, hypersexualized thing.
Right. No, sorry.
I totally agree with you.
Arkham City pala.
Yeah, Misha, it's less male gazy, which I appreciate because I wasn't really into the first Suicide Squad movie. So this one has more promise, more characters. I hope so that might mean more deaths.
I think, I think you're on the money on the mark for this one because, like, you know, there are 13 characters and we're looking at it and it's like, yeah, some of those guys are fucking dying, and it's called the Suicide Squad, not the Survivor Squad.
Yeah, well, it better not be John Cena. That's all I can say.
Don't worry, if he dies, you won't see it. I'm still with it.
What can you say about Justice League? Because I've made my thoughts very clear in the other podcast, so I want to hear somebody else talk about it for once.
Yeah,
I've expended way too much emotion on that.
I was gonna say that I'm more interested in the Batman than the Snyder Cut. Like, it does nothing for me. I'm not that invested.
Also, can I just say I wasn't excited about a trailer that uses Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah for the 534th time in internet promotion history.
Yeah, talk about rehashing. Didn't we see this before?
Well, to be fair, but who directed that? No, but the thing is, like, and I've mentioned this on the other show, is that I was on the same page as you guys. I thought it was a little bit on the nose. I thought, why are you making us listen to this again? And it turns out it was his daughter's favorite song.
Oh no, I feel like a dick now.
Matthew doesn't care. No, but in a nutshell, for me, I just want to see it come out, if only to put an end to everybody who's saying how much better this cut is going to be. Whether or not it is a moot point, I think, because
It's happening.
at least it's going to stop people saying what could have been. So now we're going to see what could have been. Whether or not it's going to be good, I don't know.
Yeah, like we had a whole episode about this, but I think in a nutshell, it's a put up or shut up moment. You know what I mean? It's like Zack Snyder and the fans who supported him. Like, I'm not throwing shade at the fans. Like, if they're fans of Zack Snyder and they're genuinely like behind him as a creative artist, then sure, whatever. Now we get to see like whether that belief and conviction in what is possible is actually deserved.
Absolutely. And if it's terrible, then life goes on, right?
Yeah. Now, what are they gonna go up in arms about? Because this has been going on for the longest time.
We're on 4 years for this, by the way. 4 years of this nonsense. Wait, when did Justice League come out? Actually, I might be
2017.
Okay.
November 2017.
Okay, so 3 years.
November or December. Yeah. And I'm like, God, just get it over with already. Seriously.
But if they become disappointed, would they even voice that out? Because they were so vocal about bringing back the cut.
That's true though.
Like, what if they get let down?
That's true. Are you implying, Karen, that they might double down so hard on the idea that it is good that they'll just deny anything?
Yes, because that is human nature.
Fair enough.
Yeah. When was the last time you ever saw anybody on the internet admit they were wrong about something?
Exactly. Actually, yeah.
Humility does not exist in this dojo.
Someone is wrong on the internet. I cannot sleep.
What? Cancel them.
That's when I knew I was getting old. I came to a point in my life that I saw people on the internet who were wrong, and I was like, going to bed.
I
Such
have
strength,
a life.
such maturity.
No, more like exhaustion.
Yes, as you slithered into bed at 8 p.m. So, day 2 of DC Fandome is coming soon, and we are looking forward to all the stuff that's still going to be forthcoming. I don't know what they still have by way of reveals, but I think the first day pretty much covered all the big stuff. So maybe with all the glitz and glamour out of the way, maybe now we'll get some meat about what's really happening over at DC Comics. I don't mean that in a controversial sense. I just am interested to know, because there's a lot of big storylines happening now. There's a lot of big creators working on projects, and it'll be interesting. Like, are we going to be looking at toys? Are we going to be looking at new titles? Are we going to be looking at maybe, I don't know, a new Batman animated show? I'm interested. I don't know.
Maybe some of the stuff that will happen that has been talked about in day 1 with, like, the milestone comic stuff. Like, maybe all that stuff will move forth into day 2 and sort of pay forward and all that stuff.
Well,
and there's so many more shows. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just thinking, like, if nothing else, I hope that all of this talk and all this buzz gets people talking, gets people interested in looking up the source material, to be honest, because I really love comic books, and I'll be sad when everything goes digital, but I just don't want them to stop making comics. I mean, now it makes me sound old. I'm sorry. But there's just something about
in my day.
In my day, we had stars. My day, you couldn't swipe through a book. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to see if they can deliver the same kind of A game that they did on day 1, except this time for the comics.
I'm looking forward to more creator panels, more in the comic book side, if they're ever gonna tackle that.
Right.
And of course, And the other shows, I'm really curious about Batwoman because nga, mag-iiba
Yeah, that's
na,
right.
Oh, yeah, they have a
Because
new
it's
one.
not Ruby Rose anymore.
Right.
Javinda something. Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah. Yeah,
she's
that's
really
true,
not
and
coming
hopefully
back.
more fan
Yeah,
interactions.
I'm so sad about what happened there, but we're out of time, so I guess we can't really get into it. But I'm really sad about what happened with Ruby Rose leaving the show. I think the show wasn't actually that great, but I was I really wanted it to work out.
So did I. I mean, I was hoping it would find its footing. I was hoping it would get better in the second season.
I just wanted to bring up Aquaman. None of us mentioned the panel.
Right.
James
I'm
Wan,
sorry.
y'all.
My apologies.
Just more. We can talk about it more. Talaga kasama ako, diba? Just invited myself.
You know what we do? We're gonna take all of this stuff that we haven't been able to talk about, which isn't that much. Actually, we covered a lot. Bank that shit and put it into the next episode that Karen appears in. Oh no!
For now, we have to wrap this all up in a meat casing.
Yes.
Should I be scared? Wait. Why are we back to the meat casing?
One of our producers is also beeping me and going like, "What about Black Adam?"
Yeah, we missed The Rock.
Jesus,
There's so much to talk about.
You think you could see past John Cena to see The Rock?
You can smell him.
Although we did see much except for the concept art. Although the concept art was super cool because it was
slightly animated.
It was Jim Lee. Yeah.
It was slightly animated. Was it Jim Lee?
And dalawa sila eh. I'm being tita right now and I don't remember.
It's okay. I want to know what was Jason Momoa doing through Aquaman 2? He was not there.
Was he? I don't know.
He wasn't. It was just the Conjuring guy. Night Owl.
The Conjuring.
Let me look at my notes. Oh yeah, he wasn't there.
It was just Night Owl and James Wan.
Anyway.
Don't remind me he was Night Owl. Oh
God.
my goodness.
Hallelujah.
The circle is now complete.
No, but Matthew knows this. I have a soft spot for that Watchmen movie. I actually like it. We have a working theory
I like it.
Next episode.
But you don't love it.
Next episode.
I
will watch that movie.
Oh my God.
I'll watch that movie for you.
I'll get the lotion. No, but again, I think that Snyder does great work when he has something to adapt, not when he has to do his own thing, as we've seen. I'm okay with 300. I'm okay with Watchmen. Everything after that was pretty much garbage, except for that one with the owls.
That was a big question mark.
No, but it was good.
I just
He made
find
it
that
for a kid.
scene, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it was based on a
So
book.
much
Oh,
content.
great. There we go. Yeah, he based it off a book. So again, he's good when he's adapting something. So he's not the one writing it. Oh, well, I tried. Sorry, Zack Snyder. I tried to defend you.
Anyway, and that has been another episode of 3 Point Landing. Thank you again, Karen, for joining us to talk tonight.
Yay, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah. As always, if you like this episode, catch us up on all the socials. We've got a Facebook page at facebook.com/3 Point Landing Podcast. You can yell at me on Twitter for random video game opinions at Arcelia Matthew. You can find our podcast and all other previous episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. 3 Point Landing is a production of Big Baby Studios. This is Matthew.
I'm Misha.
And I'm Karen.
And that's a wrap.